anything on the internet. There's no checks and balances. There's nothing that says anything's true on there. Well, I got home from Mexico, where I live half a year now, and one Sunday, my wife and I had nothing to do, so we said, let's go to Google, let's watch this loose change thing that our kid keeps telling us about. And so my wife and I watched it, and I went through every emotion you could imagine. I was angry. I was almost sick to my stomach. I wanted to cry. I didn't know what emotion should come over me when I watched this. And then I became obsessed with it. And I wanted to know as much as I possibly could about the sinfulness day. And the more I learned, the more I became a doubter of what we were told that day. And the more I learned and kept watching the films of those buildings coming down. And to me, the most interesting one of them all is this building 7. This building that was never struck by an airplane. This building that, how could it possibly fall when none of this steaming hot jet fuel could melt I-beam steel wrapped in asbestos? Anyway, this building was never struck. And yet 5 hours later, it imploded into its own footprint in slightly over 6 seconds. How? I went back and thought about my old physics class in high school. And I said, they're telling us that it's a pancake effect, that one floor went into the other and they all went down to the ground. Well, going back to my high school physics, I realized when a moving object hits an object that's not moving, they slow down. How could it fall at free fall pace? How could there be virtually no resistance to the falling of these buildings? How could that be? You know, and then with building 7, and you start learning more about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I went back and consulted my top demolition man and underwater demolition team, our top guy. The guy who was involved in the largest demolition job the United States government has ever did over in Vietnam. He was the guy in charge of when they had 2 rivers over there. They wanted them connected so that they could drive the PBR boats and all that stuff down both rivers. So they were connecting 2 rivers and blowing it all up. They used more workers on that job than any job in World War II ever. And this was the guy in charge of us. And I asked him, I told him of my suspicion. I said, I'm having a problem with 9/11 and the way these buildings fell. And this guy told me, he's from South Carolina, he didn't hesitate a bit. He said the day it happened, he said, I knew they couldn't fall like that without assistance. Now bear in mind, us guys in UT and SEALs, we don't blow up buildings like they do here with controlled demolition. When a controlled demolition goes off, they don't want any collateral damage. So they blow it all inward so it will drop into its own footprint. Now, I'm not an expert on that. Because when we do it, we desire collateral damage. When we blow something up, we want it going everywhere, and the more collateral damage it can do, the better. We had a standard saying in the underwater demolition teams. We'd figure it out all on the slide rule, and then we had a standard little phrase, when in doubt, overload. So we always put an extra haversack of C4 to get the job done. But see, again, we're not looking to stop collateral damage, we're looking to attain collateral damage. So the more I look, the more I study, the more I've come to the conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we've been lying. I believe that 9/11, it all happened. The people are really dead. But I don't think our government's been completely honest with us. Let me give it to you in this aspect, maybe. When I was governor, if a tragedy like that would have happened under my watch, which we did have one in Minnesota under Governor Plenty's watch, a bridge fell in the river. Y'all familiar with that little episode that happened in Minnesota? Well, you notice there's no bridges falling in the river got a fallen here. I only say that because we seem to be more concerned about rebuilding Iraq than we are about taking care of our own country. Yeah. Anyway, Governor Plenty did the right thing. He did what I would have did. He immediately ordered not one, but 3 investigations. He wanted 3 separate entities to investigate this bridge so that hopefully we can come to a conclusion of what happened. Now, if I were Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, the President, and 9/11 would have happened on my watch, I would have immediately ordered investigations. Number 1, you'd want to know what happened. Number 2, you want to know why it happened. And number 3, and probably most importantly, you would want to be able to learn that so you could prevent it from ever happening again. And I found it very, very disturbing when our president stonewalled an investigation for over 2 years. And we still wouldn't have had that phony investigation if there weren't for them 4 or 5 widows out in New Jersey that I think they affectionately call the Jersey Girls today. What different I might have than what Ann Coulter called them, the Jersey whores. Everybody remember that? When Ann Coulter said that, called them the Jersey whores?
Man.
I've never hit a woman. But I'll tell you what, I'd have to think on that one.